So I think the last journal entry I did was on the 22nd. Since then, it has gotten very cold again. It has gotten very cold. It was in the 30s last night, and I don't have any heat. And now it is in the 40s. And so I just like broke out some really warm Temu socks I bought last year. Um, and I've got this fuzzy Temu jacket and my nice Temu hat on here. But I'm still cold. I'm still cold. And my guitar, I recorded a guitar song. It sounds worse because of the temperature. Um, I needed to get a prototype song out, and the string, I guess, like the wood shrinks or expands based on temperature, so it just makes it sound like out of tune, and it's also harder to strum. So, let's just see what I have written down since the 22nd. Um, I don't know what the 23rd was Saturday. Um, okay, I might have done the 24th already. Um, so I'll just start at the 25th. On April 25th, I did ask God, like, if somebody needs these pancakes, like, who I can give them to, because I got some pancakes at the food pantry. And I walked around at first, and most people were at work. So then I went out that night, and actually, the neighbor that I don't talk to, the woman was there. And I just went towards the door. And once I got there, her pit bull ran up, and the pit bull jumped on the door, and the dog would have ran outside and gotten loose. So I had to stand there and hold the door closed. Her pit bull, she just had the screen door on, and the pit bull jumped up and opened it, and the door started to open, so I closed it. And so then, okay, this is a sign from the Lord. This is the right house. And she was actually happy I gave her the pancakes and syrup and stuff. So I'm glad that she, and a couple other. This isn't to boast. I don't want what I have to be ruined, especially if I'm not going to make it. So waste isn't good. And I just wanted somebody else to use it. Like, charity is supposed to be the same quality of food that you eat. So it's not that it was bad quality. But I don't see it quite as the same as charity. But, yeah, I don't know what happened Sunday. What happened Monday. I don't even know, cause I should have been making journals and I wasn't. Okay, so on the 28th, I went to the gym. Oh, this is some more. The Lord renders judgment through me, so I think that's what happened today. I went to the gym, and instead of going home right away, there was a pet store a few doors down, like at the end of the block. So I walked down there, and I was waiting for. They had this promotion where you get 40% off you get 40% off of a collar if you bring your old collar in, and that made me think to cut the collar off of my dog to try again. And so I got that off. Well, I walked in there, and this is before the sale. And they had a few models of leashes and collar already marked down to 40%. It wasn't most of them. But actually, they had one, and, I think I liked it. It would have been probably the best looking one, and it was Avengers. So I don't watch Avengers. I don't watch superheroes. But I did think it was... I think it was fitting. I was originally looking at, like, the Superman collar and leash for my big dog, because he saved this town from dog fighting rings. He shut down a dog fighting ring. But then, actually, the style and the color of the Avengers leash and collar looked better. It looked better on him, and that's the one that was 40% off, and I didn't need to bring in the old collar. So I went ahead and purchased it, and I thought, well, Avengers too, it's kind of fitting, because he is my dog. And then I also had some coupons for a local chicken joint called Lee's Chicken, and this does taste really delicious. I've only had it like twice. I could have had it more, so I never get to enjoy anything. My whole life is just annoying things that suck. But um, it really is. I have blessings, and then I can never really enjoy them because something comes along to ruin it. But so the first time I had Lee's chicken was at a meeting, and it was for a party. And then they had a bunch of hand sanitizer, and then they're like, "Oh, use a hand sanitizer." And then it made my chicken taste like hand sanitizer, and this was not good for my health, I am sure. So the chicken was so delicious. I loved it. But then I was eating hand sanitizer on the chicken. Like, this is ridiculous. They did this just to ruin the chicken, I'm sure. Um, and it was so greasy, and I was holding it, and then it was like, it was awkward too. So it was like the best chicken I ever had in my life. It was completely ruined. It was an uncomfortable situation in a circle of people talking, and then I got hand sanitizer in my chicken. The next time I had Lee's chicken was good. A woman from who had invited me to church actually bought it for me. And this was good. Actually, I did enjoy that, but I don't know if she was cursing me. So actually, it was pretty good then. I ate like every bit of food on my plate. The next time, okay, so I ate it twice. Then I could have had it again, but this was a setup when they tried to kill me, and I believe they put toilet water on this chicken. I believe they put toilet water on this chicken. The woman that brought it in had already eaten, and she was full. She had already eaten some chicken. She wasn't going to eat or touch any more of it, and none of them did. And so the chicken, and I thought, when I saw the chicken, I don't like to get grease on my hands. So I got like a fork or something to pick it up, and I put some on a paper plate. And the chicken was soggy. It was not crunchy. And that's why I know it was toilet water. And also the water fountain wasn't working, and then they were going in the bathroom to rinse a vegetable for a few seconds. It didn't need to be done just to freak me out. So they put toilet water on this chicken. No one touched the chicken, and then a guy shows up at the last minute. Like towards the end, another guy shows up, and this guy goes to every event where they have free food. And he's a larger man. And then he got a lot of that chicken. It's like they like to see him, and I knew there is toilet water in that chicken. And I had some chicken on my plate, and I didn't touch. So I did not get to eat. So first time was hand sanitizer chicken, and the second time was actually good. And so then I thought, I'm going to use my coupon, and I'm going to go buy some. Well, there was an enemy in Lee's chicken. There was an enemy in Lee's chicken this day. I didn't even write this down. Yeah, this was an enemy. I'm trying to think what. So I had a coupon. I walk up to the cashier, and now he's really like kind of polite and soft spoken, but he just like is causing trouble without saying anything, and he's not helping at all. So I don't have any money. I normally do not go out and buy food. So I got the credit card, and this was a special occasion. I was gonna use a coupon and get like a meal that was supposed to be $5.89, and I was just going to eat that and maybe some free canned stuff I got from the soup kitchen that day. And then I'm in the line, and then here's the different checkouts. There's two of them. There's like two card readers, and the man's just standing there. And I said, I got this coupon, and I said, do you have any scissors? And he's like, oh yeah. And then he didn't get any scissors. And then I looked at my total, and it wasn't only the original price, it was higher than the original price. It was more expensive than the original price. And I'm like, here's the coupon. And he said he had scissors. He didn't get them. And then he just didn't say anything. So I'm like, use this coupon. I said, why is it still the same price? He didn't say anything. He just continued to stand there as people came in behind me. And then finally he was like, ma'am, you're going to have to rip that out. And it wasn't like rude, but when I first came up, I asked him if he had some scissors. He said yes. Didn't get any scissors and just stood there quiet. Didn't tell me where to put my card, didn't want to, and the price was higher than it should have been with no coupon. So then I ripped it out, and like I got most of it. And I'm like, here you go. And I wasn't the most polite at this point because I could tell this guy is not. He's like he's pretending to be nice. He's soft spoken. He's not helping me at all. I have this coupon. He's not giving me the discounted price. And then he asked, "Do you want a drink?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, if you have a free water. If you have a free water, I will take a free water." So then I look at the little display again. They've added 50 cents to get a cup of water. 50 cents. And I'm like, "No, I'm not paying 50 cents for a water." Because I said, if there is a, I said, do you have a free water or something? I said, if there is a free water. He goes ahead and charges me 50 cents for a water. And then they start to fulfill my order before I even pay. And then they're bringing the cup. And then I'm like, "No, I'm not paying 50 cents for water." So then they bring the cup back. I'm not paying 50 cents for water. Because I said, if you have a free water. And then, it was still more expensive. And then, they charge more if you use a credit card. So if you don't have any money, you have to pay more money. So anyways, and then you have to pay more to eat in the restaurant. So it was like almost $7 at this point, when it should have been $5.89. They nickeled and dimed me. And this guy, he works for the kingdom of darkness. And I know that he does. He's one of the devil's people. Just looks like a normal young man. But no, he is an enemy of the saints. But, and I know this, because at first I didn't really think so. I thought maybe he's just a low-paid employee. Because, he wasn't putting the coupon rate on there. Then I rip it out and give it to him. It's like if I didn't keep checking, I would have got overcharged. And then I had him take off the water. And then I go and eat my food in the corner. And then when I'm finishing up, this employee comes by. And he starts wiping off the tables. And then he sees me. And then I'm finishing. They started the dishwasher right as I was finishing. So that the water pressure was so low that barely a trickle of water would come out of the sink. So then I was eating fried chicken with my fingers. And I had to wash my hands. He just started the dishwasher right before I went to go wash my hands. And he did this on purpose. I'm calling you out, Lee's Chicken. I'm about to give you guys like a 2-star review. And I'll explain more too. Because I went back the next day and had another bad experience. The chicken was great. Your employees are devil worshippers. So you're getting 2 stars, Lee's Chicken. And so then I went to the bathroom, and I remembered the last time I was there, a woman took me there, and she bought me a meal, and it was so delicious. And I was happy they had a good sink, and it was easy to wash my hands. So then I remembered that, and I just got my hands all greasy. Why go in the bathroom to wash my hands this day? And the water is coming out like a little trickle. It takes me like 5 or 10 minutes to wash my hands. Like, this is ridiculous. This man did it on purpose. They should not start the dishwasher while they have customers in there. So, like, other people were still eating, but I had just finished. So, it probably, maybe in 15 minutes, it would have been done. So, they timed it. So, right when I needed to wash my hands, the dishwasher was going. So, Lee's Chicken, I don't know what to say. I want to eat this chicken. Like, I enjoy the food. But who I am, like, apparently I'm not allowed to enjoy anything. I'm not allowed to fix anything. I'm not allowed to be clean. I'm not allowed to have clean clothes. I'm not allowed to have good food. I'm not allowed to have a working vehicle. Nobody will help. I'm not allowed to have anything. And then I get my credit card, and I can't even go and charge a meal at a fast food restaurant without somebody messing with me. They mess with my food, and they mess with... This time, they try to overcharge me. Lee's Chicken, I really want to go back, and I want to eat your food. But this is what happens there. And, nobody knew I was coming. People do spy on me and watch me. No one knew I was coming, but when I come in, some people can see my light. I think certain enemies can see the Holy Spirit, and then they will sabotage, like, my meal. I know this doesn't sound like a big deal, but I really couldn't even, I should not have even spent the money on that meal. And actually, it was really good. Even though the guy was trying to overcharge me, and it was like a pain in the butt, and we had to keep going back and forth, and a line was piling up. Well, then I did get my food, so I went to go enjoy my food. And then, like, I couldn't even enjoy that because it took so long to wash my hands. This was ridiculous. If it takes me 10 minutes to wash my hands, like, they must have just started the dishwasher. So, this is not something you do when people are in there eating. But anyways, that's what happens to me. Just every single inconvenience. I'm trying to think there. The man I was making music with, like, maybe this happened before. So I went over to a man's house and we were making songs together, and it turns out he doesn't like Trump. And then I said that Trump was doing the Lord's work. And so then he was really upset. He was really upset. And then so then I left. And I was already not, like, I wasn't in the best mood at this point. So he was very mad. You know, it's a kind of situation where, you know, everything is bad. And if you don't understand what's going on, like, it makes people upset. And I can understand that. But, like, there's not even a way to explain anything. And it shouldn't have to be the case. Like, I'm not here to explain politics, but it's God's plan. This is end times. I believe this is like the apocalypse right now, and everything is being shut down. Like, nations are being dismantled, armies and demons and fallen angels, like everything. All the corruption is being rooted out. So there's a lot of things that are making our lives bad. And so if anyone thinks that Trump is single-handedly destroying things, it's kind of silly because really he's just one piece. It's the military is behind this plan of what's happening, and he's really just the figurehead. Trump isn't sitting in some room and drawing these plans up. He's not even in control of it. He's really just the person that comes up here and talks on television, if that's not CGI most of the time. And yeah, a lot of things are bad, but that's because the kingdom is coming down to earth. Heaven is coming down to earth now. So the entire system, so that, you know, the entire system has to be wiped out. And that's what's happening. And actually, one thing that was mentioned, like, is like how evil Trump is because, like, he is spending money on, like, ballrooms and stuff. And actually, I think this was a message for me. I think this was a message for me because there have been like 2 or 3 dances. No, there was 3 dances in this last month, and I didn't get to go to any of them. They were keeping me out of these dances, and they made sure I knew about it. And like one woman was doing things that were sinful to get money, and she said, well, I stopped doing that, but if I was still doing that, I would have given you the money. I'm like, no, I won't go. But anyways, it's like, this is what they do. If I compromise on my values and accept sin, then I get to go to the dance, or I get to, you know, I get to be healed, or I get to do this. If I look past the lies, but I can't do it, and that's why my situation gets worse and worse and worse. But anyways, no, this man is not a bad man. He's not. He seems like a good man. But unfortunately, the television lies. The television lies to everyone. And it lies on all sides. And there is a big plan going on right now to reset everything. And so, I just don't expect people to understand what's going on. Is that the whole world is so corrupt that we do get a little bit of good out of a corrupt system, and to see that go away, but you are only getting pennies on the dollar. The Satanists were stealing 98% of our money, 98% of our resources, and giving us pennies, just enough that we will fight to defend them, while they live in lavish riches. So they are millionaires and billionaires. Yes, all of them. But the ones that want the social programs, the ones that claim they need to raise taxes to give us stuff, they give themselves the money and then they give us a few pennies. So they need to go. They need to go. All of it is corrupt. All of it is corrupt. But anyways, I didn't prepare this. What is happening now is a complete dismantling of the political systems around the entire world. And all of the strongholds and devils and demons and all the deals with the devil made behind the scenes are being wiped out. And those deals with the devils did come with, they did come with some perks. They had some benefits. And when those benefits go away, people are going to get upset because those were really, a lot of times, the only benefits they got. But had we been given what we really deserved this whole time, we would have all been wealthy. So earning money is not bad. Earning money is good, because here our houses are falling apart. Our houses are falling apart. We don't have money for good equipment. We don't have money for good instruments. We don't have money to repair our vehicles. So earning money is not bad. Earning money is good. What is wrong is to be selfish and greedy to the extent that you harm others. Well, you have plenty, but you don't share. I do think there is a responsibility that if you have a lot of wealth, it is a responsibility to help people that really need it. But at the same time, there are people that don't need it and they lie. So that's why discernment is really important. But anyways, I was just kind of upset. I didn't get to talk. I didn't want to debate. There was no point in it. There was no point in it. It was like seeing everybody that was on the other side as evil and not wanting to help people. And, he truly believed it. And this is a good man who truly believed it. And that's why there's no point in arguing this. But I think maybe it's a lesson that even if you disagree with somebody, how do we keep the peace? How do we deal with this? I don't have to hate you. I don't, it's okay. Maybe you don't understand, and I don't know your life, and you don't know my life, and that's okay. We can still coexist, but this is just another thing, and this was a mission from God, too. I think this was a mission from the Lord. Because everything is falling apart, but it's God's plan. It is God's plan, and God is in control of it. So I heard something at a meeting the next day, and it was like, worrying is a lack of faith. So I got my journal out and I wrote it down. That is so true. I know the disbelievers worry. I know many disbelievers, they worry. Even when I believed in God, I didn't know how much God controlled in my life until these last 2 years. Every single thing is controlled. And God knows every single thing that you need. And you might not have much, but you always have just enough. And this is what the Lord makes sure of, because we're all important. But sometimes when you have too much, it can lead people to sin, or they will never improve themselves, as they just kind of get stuck on a path. So a lot of times, going without is good, because it leads to spiritual growth. But anyways, I did stop at a pawn shop, and I didn't realize. I was going to look at this Yamaha, and it was $200. I was going to look at this Yamaha, because I picked it up. It was really lightweight compared to my guitar, and it was easier to play, and it had a good sound. So I picked it up, and I was thinking about possibly asking if they could hold it for me, for a charge. And then it turns out they had a Martin in there. They had a Martin in this pawn shop. Now, that one's $1,000. So keep in mind, I have less than $0 right now. I am negative dollars, but God will restore. Anyways, I got to try this Martin. So he got it down for me. And how my guitar is hard to play, this guitar was easy to play. And I just played it. It sounds different, but the low note, there was no buzzing. The low note was just a big boom, and no buzz. It was beautiful. And then you barely touch the string. You barely touch the string and it plays. Mine, you gotta jam your fingers into it. The one I have to press it really hard, so that's why I've got some serious, I got indents in my fingertips. I've got serious calluses. But this Martin was so easy to play. It was you barely have to touch this. I was doing bar chords, several apart, and barely touching it. So I did a bar chord and then doing notes 3 frets over. And I'm like, this is so easy. And the guy was actually impressed, but no. The one I have now is so difficult to use. That was unbelievable. But then I didn't really strum it hard. Now the sound in some ways wasn't as beautiful as my cheap one. Like my guitar, it sounds bad, but in some ways it sounds really good. So I actually didn't hear that. But maybe I didn't strum it hard enough because I wanted to be kind of careful with it. Maybe I didn't strum it hard enough. But that Martin, it was like butter. But honestly, like, if I had that to begin with, then I don't think my skill would be where it is, because I wouldn't have to try very hard to play. So then, instead of like trying to go lay away on a cheaper Yamaha, and I told the guy, I think I might save up for a better guitar. It was so easy to play, like, just you barely touch, like the low string, you barely touch it. It was unbelievable to me, and I know that my guitar is harder to play than a normal guitar, but this Martin, like, I'm like, you barely touch this, and you're doing a bar chord. How can people not play this? My guitar, I call it the finger shredder. But anyways, now actually, it might not be as bad if I actually had heat and cooling in my house because of the cold. Like, the strings are harder to play, and it sounds worse. Like the metal strings, when they're cold, like, they just cut into your fingertips even more. But anyways, I got to try a Martin. It sounds a lot different. I love the sound of that low string. But actually, the higher strings weren't as melodic. But, I wasn't plucking them as hard either. So that was a good thing. And then, actually, right after then, I went to Lee's. And the enemy from the Kingdom of Darkness ruined my meal. This is the first time I've been out to eat in a long time. Actually, since another person took me to Lee's Chicken. And I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to spend my own money and go back. Well, this guy, you ruined my meal at Lee's Chicken. And he's like real polite and soft spoken. While he sits there and ignores me and tries not to add my discount and charges me for something I didn't want. Like, and then people are lining up like, how do I pay? Where do I put the card? I don't know. Why don't you tell me? Like, just very bad. Very bad. It was all on purpose. It was all on purpose. But anyways, I was like a little rude, but not too bad. Actually, I was a little rude to this guy, because this is one thing I've learned from the Lord, is we have to stand up for ourselves. And so when people are rude to me, I'm rude to them back. This is what the Lord wants. To bless people when they curse you is actually like, that's actually an attack, because like the witches and warlocks will curse you, and you can bless something and give it to them, and that makes their demons go away. So that's actually an attack on them. People don't even understand this. But it's like not about forgiving people. This is just in your daily life. If somebody is not treating you with respect, don't let yourself be walked over. So it's just a little stern with him. And this is what I believe we should do, is that we're polite to people, but we respect ourselves. And it's not that we demand respect, but we don't let ourselves be taken advantage of and disrespected. So I cut a new dog collar. This was great. I took my dog for a long walk, so my messages were way behind. And actually, I prayed to God. So the man, we were making music, and he was really upset. So I prayed to God, like, to help him, or like to help to keep him from being upset. And I don't remember what I prayed. I just prayed for him. And then I still was a little unhappy. And then I didn't get to check my messages. And I took my dog on like an hour and a half walk that evening. He had not been on a walk for like almost a year. This is how bad things got with the pit bulls, and then not being able to take him out, and with the skunk spray where you couldn't touch his collar. So I went and I charged like $40 to get him a new leash and collar that the devil didn't buy. Because I was with the devil. He bought the collar. He made the collar, and he bought the leash that I was using. So then I had to get my credit card, and I had to charge something that he didn't pay for. And I don't waste money, but you guys might know, if you were with the devil or if you were with a narcissist, you're supposed to get rid of things that got you. And he had purchased and made the collar and leash, so I just went and charged a bunch of money, and then I went and charged me some chicken. And I went for a long walk, and then I saw that I had a bunch of messages from the music man, and then I just got real tired, and I started to look at it, and I was just too tired to really even read all of it and respond, so I went to bed. Um, let's see what happened the next day. So the next day was 4/29/26, and I woke up and I looked at my watch. I either looked at my watch or I got up and sat at the computer and looked at the time. Cause see, I wrote this down and I forgot. But when I looked at my computer or the watch the first time, it was 11/29/57, which does add up to I think it was a 57. It says here it adds up to a 7 or something. 9 plus 2 is an 11. There's an 11. 5 plus 7, 7, 12, 14, 15, 16, 25. Oh yeah, it does add up to a 7. Really wasn't that significant, I guess. But it was raining. I was cuddling with my little dog. I was really happy to get to take my big dog on a walk. He really deserved it. He got me back today. So then I read all the messages from the Music Man, and he was like it was like he was apologizing, and he was explaining himself, and he was sending, so I know that he felt bad. Because he's autistic, and he can't express himself or understand certain things, so I can tell he's a good man. He's a good man. He gets upset, that's what so I don't want to upset him. You know, it's not a situation where I can just go and explain. Like, sometimes facts don't matter, and when you're dealing with autism. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I can see that he's a good person, and you know, he lives with his family. They've been together and they have each other. They don't have a lot of money, but they have a family that has problems, but they care about each other, and they have stuck together, and that is more than I can say for most families in 2026. And I read the messages, and it was good. He actually sent me so he figured out what the chords were, what the notes were on the piano, and just sent me some of those. So that's why that evening after I made a different song, then I looked at those notes for like 5 minutes, and then I made another song, and so then I recorded that the next day. So then I kind of changed the song. Like, we were going to make a song together, but it wasn't quite sounding right, and like I didn't know what notes, so I was just playing stuff on the guitar. So then he tried to translate that to piano, and it ended up being different, and it didn't sound right. So then he finally got the notes for the piano, and then gave those to me, and then I came up with something else using those notes. So if this didn't happen, like, I shut up with my song, then he tried to make it into a piano song, and then I tried to play with it. It didn't sound right. it wasn't the same notes, but it was close. And then so then he sent me the notes, and then I was able to come up with something, and now it sounded good. So I think I have a way we can make music. So this is a breakthrough, because really I never made music and I didn't know the notes. But what I can do is I can look up a note and see how to play it in a few seconds. If somebody gives me a note, I can just go onto Google, type the note in, and it shows me how to do it. And that's fine. But like on a piano, to know what note that is and then translate that to guitar, we were just having trouble. And then when we thought it was right, then it just wasn't lining up. But so I'm just new to all of this, and having no experience with this, then he was probably disappointed things weren't going as smoothly, and he's having computer trouble. He's having computer problems, and then us making music wasn't going that smoothly. He used to deal with a guy, like this man that we're trying to make songs. He's been making music for 60 years. Okay, I just started this guitar like a year and a half ago. So I think I know it sounds good, but I don't know the notes, and I don't know how to, like, what note is this on a piano? And when I hear this on the piano, I don't know how to make the note on the guitar that sounds good with that. But now I just figured it out. So he can look up like where his fingers are and then get the notes, and then I can just look that up. So this makes it really easy, actually. And this is a breakthrough to me, because then he was playing something and I was just trying to make something up. So he played something on the piano and I was just trying to make something up. I don't even know what the notes are. But then he sent me the notes and these messages, and I was able to make a song. And this made it really easy. Really great, praise the Lord. So, but I know he's still upset. And they're suffering, and we're all suffering, and that is something. Um, that is. But as I mentioned before, like, they're just giving us pennies on the dollar. There's fat cats up there, criminals up there in all of the parties. Republican, Democrat. It's the Democrats aren't the good guys. They're the ones stealing the money and they're stealing $1 and giving you 2 cents. So just like the Republicans, like, they take the money, they're using it on stuff and giving you 2 cents. So um, it's not about one side wants to help. No, they're all criminals and thieves, and they've stolen our money, and they're giving us pennies on the dollar, and we're all living in poverty and squalor, and our lives are getting worse. So they need to be, their positions need to be revoked. They need to be removed. So, but when you explain this to someone, and they think that their politicians are trying to help them, they're not trying to help. They're not trying to help. They're hurting. They're stealing our money. It's like, if I took $100 from somebody and then I bought them a Coca-Cola, and then they'd be upset if someone tried to take their Coca-Cola away, or I bought you a coffee, but then I kept $95 or I kept $98. So that's what they're doing. It's a scam and a fraud, and they live like kings while we live like we're barely scraping by. We're all just trying to get by, and the enemy isn't Democrats and the enemy isn't Republicans. Because, like, I did learn is I thought most Democrats knew. I really thought they all knew that their party was evil, but actually no. I have been proven wrong. This man actually believed that they were to be good. They were doing good. He believed they were doing good, and so this is a teaching moment for me. There are people there, and they actually some people do believe that they are trying to help and want to help. But it's really like a scheme, because they're keeping most of the money for themselves. And there's bias on the conservative side. There's bias on that side. I am not a Republican. I'm not a Republican. My belief is that until God runs the government, we need to have as little government as possible. So while the system is corrupt, we got to be libertarian, almost anarchist, while the government is corrupt. But once heaven comes down to earth, then it can be more of like a socialist system when it is controlled by Christ. But until that happens, then everything has been corrupted. So it's just another opportunity for people to steal our money and our resources and force us into slavery and bondage, just like God told I believe this is the Israelites. When they wanted a king, they didn't have a king, and they didn't listen. We want a king like the other countries, and they got one. Well, yeah, you get all the stuff that comes with a king, but unfortunately now, without a government, then you'll just be overtaken by other corrupt governments. So if you tried to live on the land, look what happened to the Native Americans. Didn't happen very well. So you need something to protect yourselves. Now, I guess you could have militias. So anyways, I don't say that I know the answer to this, because it's not up to me. It's not up to me. It's up to God. It's God's choice what happens. But we know the system now sucks. So it's gotta go. It's gotta go. Anyways, let's see. So when I got up on the 29th, then more of my ceiling has fallen on the floor. We had a ton of rainstorms, and it started to leak. And in the room with the roof damage, it started to leak right next to the entryway. And then, like, just a big chunk of the ceiling fell down there. It's on the floor. And that's, like, where you have to go through to go in and out of the house. So I don't want nasty, moldy ceiling bits full of, possum, raccoon feces falling on my head when I go into my house. But, it is what it is. So anyways, let's see. I had my first, this is my second doctor's appointment. 17 years, didn't go to the doctor. And so I had to go because I was drugged and poisoned. I want to say poisoned. So the narcissists, they have like they got like a database of illnesses. So they went and got something unknown, something obscure, and they placed it in a smoothie, and they gave it to me, and I got really sick. So I got 2 antibiotics. And then they wanted to set me up with a general practitioner. And so I had an appointment set for a month. And so this is new to me. And they got really low rates. And So I went in for my regular appointment, and I was so surprised is that these people, the people there, once I went in, like, so the nurse that saw me and the doctor, like, they were really kind and polite, and they cared about me, and they listened to me. Like, they looked like they really wanted to help. It looked like they really wanted to help, and they wanted to help me. And that was, it was better than I didn't expect that. I just expected it to be normal. But they were actually, like, I could see that they were good. And they were caring, and they were empathetic. And so, that really, And another thing was strange. Their computers were down. Got me a thing here. Their computers were not working. So then they were trying to get the machines to come up. So then I had to go in the back to log in or something. Or to have my name manually entered in for my appointment. And then I came back out. I thought it was very strange that their system was down this day. And it's probably so God could do a little miracle. Oh my goodness. A little miracle. So, I'm trying to remember what is my miracle here. So, this is my receipt. This is the receipt for my medical bill because I paid, on the credit card, I paid $10 to go to the doctor twice. And I did pay like $18 for medicine there last time too. This is affordable and this is really nice. Like, I mean, really I don't even have this. But if I add this to my credit card, it's not the end of the world. So, let me see here. 15, 10, 14, 24, 30, 31. Okay, so a lot of this is not significant, but then when I go to the back, I'm trying to hide everything. So this is my receipt when I paid. So when I was done with my appointment, they were really polite. I just showed them stuff. They believed me. They wrote it down real quick. They never had a reason to argue with me or like, you're lying. No. I'm like, do you have any other issues? Anything else? And I told them and they looked and then they recorded it. It was like they cared. And this was really surprising because I don't see many people like that. But the best people I've seen maybe that I can remember, and they were in this doctor's office. Anyways, then I asked, well, can I pay? Like, I got a bill in the mail the day before. And I didn't want to mail something in. Like, I might have a stamp, but I'm already here. So they said, oh yeah, you can pay when you leave on the way out. And so then I did. And then their computer was like messing up again. And then it finally went through. And when it went through, it processed my payment and they gave me a receipt. And so you guys know, sale approved. Now, if you look at the time, the time is 14:54:12, which adds up to 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14, 15, 16, 17. This number adds up to a 17. 14:54:12 is a 17. So, that is 1 plus 4 is a 5, plus 5 is a 10, plus 4 is a 14, plus a 1 is a 15, plus a 2 is a 17. I see 17s everywhere. Like the Mormon doctrines and thing was 98 or 89. That was a 17. Oh my gosh, I got more 17s here too. I got more 17s. I have to make a separate video in all the 17s. Like, I've just got stuff sitting next to me that have 17s on them. And I don't get that much new stuff. When I do, it almost always is a 17. So, like, let's see, what's this? 13, 22. My water bill adds up to a 22. Where's my 17? I'm looking for my Lee's chicken receipt. My Lee's chicken receipt. I went back to Lee's Chicken again because I had more coupons left, and I haven't been going to the soup kitchen. I went back to Lee's Chicken again, and this time I decided to try. They had livers or gizzards marked down large, $7.99. I thought, I'll try this. I've never had it. And I just walked in. I said, I don't want to be charged extra for eating it. I'm going to take it to go. And I'm not going to ask for any water. So I learned last time. And I ripped out my coupon too. Like, so anyways, I go in and I didn't know. It just said large livers or gizzards. And they said, well, which one do you want? And I'm like, and I'm like, oh wait, liver's good. Good for you. And then, like, they seemed nice, but there was a little bit of that look like one of these women was evil. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she wasn't. But anyways, then I got my container. It was in a bag. It had some napkins. It had a fork. It fit right into my bag that I take with me, and I was in and out. No problems. Except, no, I did not get a dipping sauce, but no. Then I got home, and when I started to eat it, that was the problem. Like, I tasted it first. It was a bit more gamey than I thought. So I did not love, I did not love the livers. But, you know, I thought, I'm going to eat this. What can I do? So I had some ketchup. I squeezed ketchup all over them. I'm like, okay. And at first I wasn't going to give any to the dogs because this is just what I was going to eat that day. I might have like a can of vegetables, but really this was what I planned on eating that day. And I'm like, okay, it's kind of good and kind of gross. So I'm going to eat this. Okay, and I eat it, and so then I get towards the end, and I did give some to the dogs, but not a lot. I gave them some too. And then I'm starting to feel, like, not very good. And, so, after I eat it, I'm kind of feeling a little nauseous. I'm feeling kind of nauseous eating these chicken livers. And I like liver. So it's not because it's liver. I like to eat calf liver. Like, there's a Turkish restaurant that has calf liver. I love it. It's delicious. Well, this chicken liver was a lot more gamey. And even then, like, I'm going to eat it. So I've eaten liver before. You know, it was still kind of good. But then after I ate it, then I drank some water. And then my stomach got really upset. And I almost felt like I had to throw up. And I ended up, like, I waited like an hour. And then I went to the gym. And I felt like a little bit, like, nauseous from this chicken. I get back home, and then, like, that evening, sometime, like, it was late. So this is several hours, like, maybe 5 hours later. I'd given my dogs a few bites of the liver, not that much. I just gave them each probably 2 or 3 pieces. It wasn't too much to make them sick. And then that night, before I went to bed, like, as I was getting in bed, my little dog, she's coming back and she vomits some liver up. She vomits it on the floor, and then she eats it again. But anyways, there was something wrong with... So, I went there the day before. They nickeled and dimed me. They tried to overcharge me and not give me the coupon rate. And then they started the dishwasher when I was going to wash my hands. And so this day, I went in. There was different people in there. And then they had these livers already cooked, already ready to go. And something extra was added into it because I felt like I had to throw up. And then actually, when I was going to bed, I had given a few bites to my dog, and she threw up on the floor from these Lee's chicken livers. And so I don't believe this is what the restaurant does to other people, but this is what I believe they do to me. This is what they do to me. And, you know, I can't, I just want to have a decent fried chicken meal. I get my credit card out. I can't even afford it. Like, I can't even enjoy a meal that I can't afford. Like, just everything gets ruined. And then, like, my ceiling's falling down and everything else. But anyways, where is my Lee's chicken? Where is my Lee's chicken receipt? Give me a second. I'm trying to find it. It's got some guitar notes on there. I'm kind of understanding that they all have like half flats or sharps. They all have sharps except for B and E. So just be yourself, and everything else has a half step, has a sharp or a flat. B, E, I think. Maybe I'm forgetting. So then I also did stop at the post office. I stopped at the post office, and I stopped at Lee's Chicken. I've got a couple of receipts here. Something else I'm going to write down about the eBay. I'm going to forget this. Give me a minute. This is all important stuff. Everything in my life is a pain in the butt. eBay. Okay. It is now Sabbath, so I can't respond to any of this, but what is going on? Okay, receipts. So these last 2 days that I made a video for, I stopped to ship a package, and I got my little post office receipt here. And see, yeah, this was on the 29th. So if I look, I'm just trying to show, this is a post office here. Look at the top there. It says 322. Well, I think you can see. It says that I waited in line, and then I gave him my package. It was already like labeled and everything. I just needed to get a scan because I had 2 packages. They didn't scan them right away, and then of course there was problems with both of them. So then at the time of the scan in the post office, it was 322, which has a 22, but also 3 plus 2 plus 2 is a 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. And then below it are the tracking numbers. So let's see if this will show up. Okay, so there's a tracking number there. If you really don't believe me, that's fine. I wish I had done this with all my receipts. I had a receipt that was insane with the number of synchronicities on it. And this was when I was dealing with King Herod. This was impossible. What it added up to 17s in so many places. It was nuts. Even the seconds that it was printed and the total and the items were all significant. But so this tracking number is, okay, so if I add up the numbers, first of all, the last 2 numbers are 4 and 3, which is a 7. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm just going to add these up. 7, 17, 18, 19, 23, 33, 43, 44, 50, 57, 59, 65, 71, 74, 78, 79, 80, 81, 85. I am confused. I think I'm doing this wrong. Okay, anyways. I believe this was significant. Maybe I'll find it out later because I'm not good at adding these numbers up right now. But 20, 32, 34, 37, 44, 51, 61, 71, 81, 87, 94. Okay. Anyways, it was 3:22 p.m. Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe that wasn't significant. Anyways, here is my my little Lee's chicken my little Lee's famous chicken receipt here. So you can see I was telling the truth about my Lee's chicken here. Lee's chicken. I was not pleased. I was not satisfied with your service. So it tells me the store number on here. So I'm just going to add it up. If I add up all the numbers of my store number, it's a 22. So, yeah. 9, 14, 20, 22. My store number, if I add up all the numbers, is a 22. Let's see. So I guess that was kind of... I had another receipt. I can't find it right now. Oh, and also, like, I believe I'm not supposed to sell anymore, but right now that's the only way that I'm making money. So I had sold really two decent items in the last couple weeks, and both of them had problems. Both of them were I had pickups. So actually, one did track, but then like they stopped tracking, and they just probably left it at some location like to save money. So one, like, it just stopped tracking and it stopped moving. Now this happens sometimes with the post office. But then the buyer opened a case, and of course this is on eBay. So this was actually the most valuable item I had sold on eBay in many months. In many months. I actually closed my store. So now I only put a few items up so I don't have to pay. And then I finally sold something decent. And then there's problems with it. eBay, you are horrible. And so we'll see if you defend the seller, knowing the state of the world right now, and the post office is not scanning. Anyways, this did get scanned, but then they just stopped. Like, they moved it a little bit, and then they stopped shipping it. And so then there was a missing mail search placed, and then the very next day the person escalates. So once you file a missing mail complaint, then they find the item and it starts moving. So as soon as I filed the missing mail, then they escalated it to support, trying to get their money back. So this is probably witchcraft used on my order, on my item, honestly, because I normally don't sell something this good. And this was actually a decent sale. I have a lot of spiritual warfare used against me, so I do very little in sales. God does not allow me to make a lot of money right now. I'm supposed to be poor, and then people get judged on whether they help me or make my life worse. What do you think they all do? What do they always do? Do they help, or do they try to steal my stuff or break my stuff or make my life? What do they do every single time? Well, anyways, like, that's why almost every time something sells, like, there's witchcraft used. So I think this was, because it started tracking and then they just stopped moving it. And then as soon as I file a missing mail, then they escalate the case to support, because they knew it was going to start tracking within a couple days. So, and it's Sabbath now, so I can't even go back and look at it. And then I sold another item on Poshmark, and I had it picked up. They never scanned it. They never scanned it, and more than like a week went by, and I went and manually said I had shipped it, and then it said, did you, it didn't say, did you ship? Then it said, you didn't ship the item. You have to click, I plan to ship, or it's going to give them their money back. I already shipped it, and I clicked, I shipped it. And so then I had to go in 5 days later and manually enter shipped but not tracking. And so it probably looks like I have a really late shipment, and it's going to make all my, like, my stats are going to be downgraded because of the post office. They don't know what they do to us. They don't know what they do to sellers, because people, like, that actually will lower the visibility of my items in search. Maybe not on Poshmark as much, but it says my ship time, and it says how many days. It averages out the amount of time it takes me to ship. I clicked ship, and I shipped it the next morning. It was picked up. Post office never scanned it. And then a week later, then it did go to a missing mail, and then they found it, and then they put the... Well, they didn't find it. It was just sitting there, and then they never scanned it. And they it was still at my local post office. And then it started tracking. Now, of course, the buyer of this item had a 17 in her username, and it had something related to witchcraft. Surprise. Surprise. Is it God telling me not to sell anymore? I understand, but I don't have other money. Like, this is the only way I'm getting money at the... I mean, but what I'm saying is the only way I'm earning money is through my sales. So this was like an okay sale on Poshmark, but this is enough to pay my bills for a day. And the buyer has something 17 is their username, and their username has something that lets me believe that they're probably a witch, because it's related to like magic or something. And then this item never tracks until more than a week later. And so it looks like it took me 5 days to ship. And then that's like lowers all of my ship times and everything. I worked so hard to get my ship time to like 1 day. And then I keep having these problems. And then I finally got a decent sale on eBay. And then it starts tracking, and the post office decides they don't want to continue shipping it. They just want to leave it here. And then, of course, this is probably witchcraft too, because this is how witchcraft works. But, that's all. Like, I do everything right. I ship the item the next day. I tried to get it out quickly. And then like the two, like these, I don't make many sales, and for almost all of them to have a problem like this is insane. My whole life is problems. Like when I try to go to the chicken place and I try to buy some fried chicken and I can't even wash my hands. It's like this when I have a business. Everything is horrible. But I guess like God wants me to suffer. um, I must have a very important calling, because every single day, everything is sabotaged. Like every single day, there are problems. Just like this. This is a daily occurrence in my life. Nothing comes easy. So I must have a very important calling. Can't even enjoy a fried chicken. So anyways, and then I go and I try to be in and out and not eat in the store with my livers, and then they did something. Who knows? What, did they put toilet water on this? And I felt like I had to throw up, and my dog threw up. So anyways, Lee's Chicken, I have put this on the internet. You should give me free chicken now, because like this is ridiculous. Let's see what goes on here. On the 30th. Oh, one thing, the Music Man mentioned being upset about Trump. So I think this is a message for me, is he mentioned the ballroom. How it's about being rich and wealthy and looking good. And then like also he didn't want to make music to make money. But then yet he needs money. He needs money to fix things in his house. He needs money so he can get better equipment, but he doesn't want to do that. Anyways, let's see. He was upset about the ballroom. I'm going to say that does look really bad. That does really look bad. But I had this thought, like, they keep having all these dances. And before, they didn't have a dance for like 4 years. Now they had 3 dances in 1 week. They had 3 dances in 1 week just to make sure I couldn't go. Everybody else got to go, and I didn't get to go. And I'm thinking, I was told I was Cinderella. And so, are they building this ballroom at the White House so that I can go there? I'm not a dancer. But, you know, it still is better than sitting at home in filth and no heat. You know, it really would be. Let's see. Okay, so on the 30th, I slept in late. There was a lot of mess. The dogs wrecked stuff. The dogs got into stuff. I had to clean them after them a long time. They I had a bag of laundry, and they chewed that up and spilled some out. So I had to get another bag and, you know, move stuff over and clean stuff. And I was told about this group. So there was a group on Friday I went to, and these are all private groups. So I don't discuss anyone's name or anything like that. Only things related to my personal stories, like numbers, signs, and synchronicities. That will not expose anything. But actually, I went to this group, and I did not see the witches and warlocks there. They're normally at these groups, but they weren't at this one, I don't believe. And actually, it was a good feeling, and it seemed like they wanted to help. And they actually listened to my story. They asked me. They were interested. So when I walked in, the man that was running the group recognized me, and he knew my name. I think he was from another charity. I'm not going to say which one, but I recognized him from either a church or a charity. And he was talking, and he's like, and I walked in, so I was trying to hurry. And then as I walk in, they said, okay, now it's the time this is supposed to start, right as I walk in the door. And then I go sit down. It couldn't have been more perfect. Like, I'm flying on the bike to get here because, I had to lock the gate and stuff, and it ended up taking longer than I thought to get out the door. I bike real fast. I'm like, tired, lock my bike, go down there, and it's like, maybe I'm a few seconds late, but they're like, okay, now it's this time when the meeting starts, and that's right when I walk in the door with all my stuff. And they're like, oh, hello, Jennifer. And the person recognized me, and they knew me. And they're like, well, how'd you find about this? And I'm like, this person recommended me. So I'm not saying anything, but they asked me a lot of questions, and so I was able to say some personal things about my life. And things that maybe a lot of people hadn't heard. And things that, were really really serious things in my life that I'm not going to discuss now. But, it kind of hit hard, and it kind of took it out of me. But anyways, other people hearing that, and these people actually seemed like they wanted to help, and they said, this center has things they can help you. You could get a caseworker. So I'm going to try to do that. And I was appreciative. But they like wanted to help. And they're like, oh, I'll mention this to somebody I know. So I'm not saying anything will come of it. There was people there that have problems. But like they heard I have a lot of problems. And maybe this like and somebody even says that they actually are grateful because their problem wasn't much compared to when they heard just some of the things I said. They were actually feeling a lot better about their lives. So that was a good thing. Just like a message from God. But then actually it seemed like they wanted to help. They wanted to help and advised me to come back, even though their office was closed, so I could not get a caseworker that day. But I can come back and try it again. Let's see. But I just said some things that I didn't really tell anyone that was private. But it felt like it was this, and I went to the gym and I started like walking on the treadmill again, and I biked quickly. But really, I think like this, some things that I shared about my personal life, they just hit hard. Like it really took it out of me. But anyways, let's see. I did go to the gym. I thought I was a little bit fat, so I started working on the treadmill a little bit. Then I realized there's another meeting in the evening I didn't go to for a few weeks. So I'm going to go back to, I said, should I go back to this meeting? I'll go back to this meeting. On my way home, let's see what's going on here. Oh, they told me the name of another clinic where you can even see dentists for like nothing. See. They gave me a water, it had a 17 on it. Okay. There's so much stuff. Oh my gosh, on my way home, like where I normally turn, there was a bunch of police officers. There was like a group of large teenagers. So like instead of turning at the light where what I normally do is I got it over and I went into a gas station instead of turning at the light because there was all these cops. There was all these cops there. And then as I'm in the gas station parking lot, and I'm like kind of going diagonally towards my road instead of just going at the light. Then one of the teenagers, who's an adult size, gets up and they start running. They start running away. And then one of the officers gets up and he's running after him. And it's right the way it was going. And I turn down my road and I look. And I don't know if they caught him or not. But I've never seen this. So where I normally turn, there was a bunch of cops. And they had a whole gang of like 5 or 6 teenagers there. One of them gets up and starts running away. And then one of the adult officers is running after him. And so I don't know if he got away or they caught him. So then I went home. I dropped my stuff off. And then I actually came back. Like this is maybe a few blocks. Like 3 or 4 blocks from my house. I dropped my stuff off. Yeah, probably 4 blocks. Dropped my stuff off because it was like kind of heavy and stuff. And then I decided to come back on my bike. And then I just kind of go around and I look at what's going on. And I see there's still a bunch of officers. I don't know if they found him or not, but I kind of biked around and I was looking. But, yeah, that was interesting. I wonder what they did. Because normally people are, like, trying to cause trouble for me. But this might have been something completely unrelated to me. They might have been hired to get me, but they might not have. They might have just been teenagers doing something criminal, which sometimes they do. But I have never seen somebody get up and try to run away from police on foot, and it happened right in front of me. So I had to come back and spy a little bit. But then I didn't see anything really. I saw the cops were all still there, and I didn't want to get too close and cause trouble, so I just kind of looked from like a little ways away, and then I went back home. So then I still had time. I had a few minutes to leave before this evening meeting. In my yard, when I got back, in my yard was an old piece of paper, or it was like an advertisement from the gas company, and it was about like home repairs and reducing my energy bill. Someone had placed that in my yard near my fence. It wasn't there before, and when I stopped at home before going in the meeting, it was right there. It was on the way to my gate, the way that I go into my house. So what this meant to me is that I already know they spy on me and they watch me. They know I go in from this way. And I always do. And I lock the gate so nobody can let my dogs out. So it's like on the way, just a few feet away from this, somebody placed that advertisement. about home repairs, emergency repairs, and like paying a bill. So I did not contact them yet. It had like a thing where you could scan with your phone. I don't have a phone, but so I think that happened. So the meeting I went to, the same man who had tried to be intimidating before, this time, it's almost like there's a spirit in him. And when I call out that, so what I think maybe is, I called out the spirit, and I caught that spirit for what it did, and how it tried to intimidate women and stop women from going to the groups. So it was much less effective, and it was much less threatening this time. And so like it had lost a lot of its power. So I'm understanding as there are actually people there, and you have to defeat their. I think this is the rules. You have to defeat their demon, and then you can talk to the person. This is such a weird thing. I don't understand exactly how it works, but I have dealt with enough people to understand a few things. As they always try to get me, but like once they can't, then it's like almost like we can talk and stuff. Like after the initial attack. But anyways, when I walked in, I saw the narcissist and someone else that I hadn't seen in a while. So they probably did not expect me to be there. When I walked in, the narcissist was sitting there, and he goes to the soup kitchen, or he like volunteers or works there. I don't know. And I hadn't seen him in a while, and so when I walked into this meeting, I didn't expect him to be there. He wasn't there the last time. So, and then, I just kind of looked and I, like, smiled a little bit, just kind of normal. And I was, like, calm. And then, like, I showed up right on time. So, like, I was speeding out the door. I don't know. In, like, 5 minutes, I made it from my house. And I parked and I went in. Excuse me. And I was, like, right on time. If not, maybe, like, a few seconds late. But I was, like, right on time. And, I asked God to order my steps. And probably part of this is protection. Because if they see me going early, they can set a trap. Because they don't know where I'm going. I didn't tell anyone where I'm going. I just showed up right when it started. So that's why I do not believe the narcissist expected me to be there. Maybe they did, but I don't think so. I mean, maybe. But anyways, and so I walk in and I go straight for the coffee. And I sit down right next to the narcissist. His leg is shaking. So it's like... he's nervous around me, so I don't. He tried to get me, but it's like they could be, if they would just stop being evil. Like I see, they could be good people though. That's the thing. Like they could be fun to hang out. They already know what to do. If they would just do the same things for the right reason, because like they do nice things, but then try to destroy you. So they like know I know, but they have to act like I don't know, but they know I know. It's so weird. But anyways, but he was nervous and like shaking, and then the man was there, and he started to speak in a loud voice again, but it didn't. And I think somebody was recording me. They might. This happens sometimes. Everyone's got cell phones, and I will see when I show up someplace, people will get a cell phone out, and it's just sitting there like face towards me for a long time. So I think they record me, and then they show it to all their friends. I really think so. Now, maybe not, this is something that you might not think anything of, but when you're targeted, everything is suspicious. And it did happen to be faced at me. So, I was just sitting there, and I think they were recording me, and they recorded, like, and the phone was pointed at me in the same position for like 15 minutes. And eventually they did set it down. It was such a long time that I truly believe that they were recording me to see if I would be upset. Because there are people that do talk aggressively, that do speak in a way that could offend people or make them shy away or be nervous. So then I just sit there like calm, and I don't let it bother me. So I think they're surprised, because like they try to, that's what I'm saying is that there are good people too, but the demons in them, if there's spirits in them, those spirits will try to intimidate me or make me uncomfortable, and they want to see me flinch or, or look afraid. And then I just sit there and I'm calm, and I think they record this, and this goes back. So I'm not saying anything about anyone's personal life. And it's possible the person has no idea what the spirit in them is doing. I really don't know. I don't know. But, if God is orchestrating all of this, then God is controlling it anyways. But, if I'm prepared to be able to sit in any room and to be able to talk with any type of people, to be able to try to relate to and discuss things with any type of person, to not be afraid, there's a lot of settings where some people, like, they want to help and they are, but they're just uncomfortable. So, like, God put me through a lot of training, so that I'm able to just come up and talk to all different types of people, and just to kind of, not be nervous about it. I try to treat everybody the same. So there are some spirits that will intentionally try to make you uncomfortable. And so those don't work on me anymore, because I've been uncomfortable too much of my darn life to care anymore. I've been uncomfortable too long. That actually would make me uncomfortable as if I was comfortable. When someone actually is nice, that makes me uncomfortable, because nobody is. No, actually, there's this meeting I went to, though. In the morning, there were people that were nice, and there were people that looked like they really wanted to help. And I went to the doctor, and those were like, they seemed like real sweet. Like the one woman, like she saw me and I was leaving, and she gave me like this smile, like she cared, and like that was maybe the most empathy I had seen. And this is it. This is a doctor. It's not somebody that's making tons of money. Like, this is a small clinic, but still, like. Anyways, another thing I had prayed to God. Oh, let me finish this first. So, I went to this meeting. Somebody mentioned a number, like a number of days. And that number was the year I was born. So, I'm not giving anything away. But, like, people go around and they share and they talk. This time, like, I felt like I had been washed out at sea. Like, if you've been on the beach all day and, like, you're just tired and exhausted, I felt like this. And yes, I did walk on the treadmill for like a half hour. Okay, that's true. And I did bike really quick. But I do bike quite a lot. So it was like sharing my testimony that morning, I think, really took it out of me. It really took it out of me. So then in this whole meeting, I'm just kind of like, and I just don't really feel like I want to talk, and I can't really think. I'm trying to think, is there something I want to share? And I was just wiped out. So I didn't, but I listened to everyone else. And somebody said the numbers. They said 4 numbers. And that was the year I was born. And this person also rushed out at the last minute. I'm like, so I'm writing that down. Yes, it's to keep things private. That's not what I'm saying here. This is a sign and a synchronicity. Somebody mentioned that. And also, like, when it was over, like, somebody told me how to clean up a little bit and stuff, and I helped him pick up a little bit, not that much, but and then we talked for like 5-10 minutes at the end, and then he gave me $20. So here's the thing, like, I had prayed to God and said, God, I need food, and I need food, and I also prayed about coffee. I said, my instant coffee is almost gone. I've just got like another day's left, and it's all gone. And I said, Lord, I need this. I'm not going to buy more, because this is my new season. If you want me to buy more, I won't. But I'm going to trust you now. I'm not buying more coffee. Really, I shouldn't be spending any money. I said, I'm not buying more coffee, Lord. Make another way for me. If I'm supposed to get coffee another way than the cheapest instant coffee at Walmart, then make a way for me. And I had prayed like the week before about food. Well, after this meeting, I'm talking to this person. He gives me $20, and he says to get some food with it. And I was really grateful. I thanked him. And it's like, and I mentioned like how I'd asked God, like I prayed to God and asked. He was like, yeah, and I don't remember exactly what he said. It's like, that's the way God works. And so that was really nice. Like, I did not go to get $20. People normally do not give me $20, but I just hung out, and at the end, like, the man gave me $20, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Now, something I forgot to mention. So when the woman took me to get my laundry done, we left, and I knew they were going to mess with my clothes. I already knew it. There's no way to not know. Of course, it's an obvious setup. They had somebody there to make it, like, to cause a fight. Like, if the door touched their car, and then to come out and try to cause an argument. it kind of failed. They just had a grumpy look and stuff. I'm like, the door just, like, touched their car, like, and there was no way not to, because we were parked right next to it, and I had to, and she wanted me to put my clothes on top of hers, so it was wedged, and I had to yank it. And then there was a car right behind. So the door was already open, but while I was pulling it out, then the door opened a little bit more, and it touched this car next to us. And then the person came out, and then they were trying to, like, this was all a setup, like this person was hired to come there. But it barely touched it at all. So they really couldn't do much. um, but they were still kind of. So then while the clothes were going, they're like, oh, I finally got some money in my account. Yeah, that wasn't what it is. They were waiting for timing. They were waiting for someone to show up because they had another plan. So they're like, well, I got the money for coffee now. So then we went to Dunkin' Donuts to get some coffee. And this is while the washers were going, I knew they were going to mess with my clothes. So I knew they were going to mess with my clothes. So then we come back. And, I was rushing, putting my stuff in the box, folding it a little bit, trying to get out the door to make it to this other meeting and be able to get the food. And I didn't have time to inspect the clothes. Well, when I got home and looked, all of my whites, so I had a big load of colors and a big load of light colored and white clothing. And this was the load, a lot of that clothing was damaged. So something was placed into that washing machine. I did not have bleach, so I don't know if I mentioned this before. But, there was a lot of broken zippers, rips. I had a lot of fluffy. You see how this is fluffy? Parts where the fabric was matted and hard. This is what I'm saying. So there was a lot of, almost all of the whites that were fluffy like this. There would be pieces of the fabric that was almost like it was burnt. Where instead of being soft, it was hard and crunchy. And then some of the zippers were broken. So they put something in this washing machine while we were gone. Let's see. Okay, so today, yeah, I had already prayed. I prayed several times, just talking to God. Like, God, I'm almost out of coffee. I'm going to trust you and not get more if you want me to. I will get more if you want me to. But if there's another way, okay, well, I'm almost out of coffee. And so a few days ago, I was biking down my road and I saw a sign for the company there's a local business that put up my fence. They put up my fence. Now, the fence is a good fence, but the door to my fence was a little crooked and it started rubbing. So sometimes when you go to open and close the door, it just rubs a little bit, and I don't like that. And so I took a picture. The door was crooked and I sent it and I told him, and I didn't want to be rude, but so many people screwed me over. I was kind of rude. But anyways, so I sent him a picture, and it was not bad. It's just so my fence gate, it kind of went like this a little bit towards the top. So that the lock that goes like this was just too close because it was tilted. So the lock was too close, and the locking mechanism would rub on the other side when I would go to open and close it. It still functioned, but, sometimes I'd scrape my hand, or it's just not as nice as it should be. So it works fine. But, I mentioned, oh, this is crooked. It's my new season. And so the guy gets back to me. He's like, oh, we only would, warranty it for 2 years. And I said, well, I haven't left a review yet, so then I'll leave an honest review when this is, and I just thought to just say this right away to let him know. Because he's like, oh, we have a 2-year warranty, and, but we can come out and see how much it'll cost. And I said, that's fine. I don't have money for it right now, but I'm going to leave an honest review when this is done. And so the guy, I know, he's dealing with narcissists everywhere. I'm dealing with narcissists everywhere. So he's probably thinking I'm a narcissist. And so I said, well, I'm not, because of my dogs, I'm not, I'll be home tomorrow, which is actually Sabbath. I didn't realize it was Sabbath. I said, I'll be home tomorrow if you want to stop by. So then he's scheduled to come over at 8 a.m., 8 o'clock in the morning. And I ended up staying up late and I forgot. And so then I got 4 hours of sleep. I got less than 4 hours of sleep last night. Probably shows on my face. Less than 4 hours of sleep. I set my alarm. And then I get up and I just, I'm already in my clothes and stuff, but I got to do a few things real quick. But I forgot, I didn't dog proof my entire house. So what happened is I was up at 4 in the morning and I went ahead and put in the dog door. So the dogs went outside at 3 something in the morning. Then I put the dog door in. So that way if they show up at 8 o'clock and they just look at it without me, the dogs aren't going to get loose. So the dogs went outside at 3. It had to be 3:30 in the morning or a little after that. And then I put the dog gate in. The dogs had went outside. So then it's at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I thought maybe they have to go to the bathroom again. And I thought to take my little dog out, and then they're all trying to come at me in different ways, and I finally get her out. And I see I've got a text on my computer. So the fencing people, like the guy, he doesn't want a bad review. He's here the next morning. He's like, we're here. I got a crew of guys. We'll pull in the back. He like shows up right away. Like, this is amazing. But then I got my dog on the leash and I come around, and then he sees my gate. And it's really not much. They fixed this in like 2 minutes. Like, seriously, they fixed it in less than 5 minutes. And so he was talking to me, and he was like, oh, I thought the picture looked like the gate was crooked, and like, no. So they basically just like pulled it out and then like adjusted something and popped it back, and then shaved the post down a little. They did. It was at less than 5 minutes. They had their trucks and everything, and then he saw like this really was no big deal, because they stretched it to put something on, and then when they pulled it back out and then lined it back up again, then it like popped. It went like more parallel. Now it's not perfect now, but it's a lot better. It is a lot. It's like, it's not perfect, but before, like this part would rub, like you got the lock on the gate, and it was just too close to the other side. So now it's where it should be. Now it does this. Before it was like that, and the bottom of the lock would just kind of rub. And so this was such a fast, easy fix. But he was really concerned. He didn't want to get a bad review. And he's like, he was like, he was talking like all these people trying to scam him. He was upset. He was concerned, like all these people are trying to scam him and cause trouble. And then he shows up and he just sees like, this is something they fixed in 5 minutes, and it wasn't a big deal. And so he realized I wasn't a scammer, and that I do actually have other fence on my property that I probably will have fixed at some point if I get money. And I might hire him again. So that was good. But, when I just heard, we'll get you an estimate, and then I just right away, I said something to God real quick, but I didn't stop and pray. I said, God, I said something like, God, I'm just going to do this, And so then I just say, oh, that's fine. When he said, oh, well, I'll get you an estimate. I'll see how much it'll cost. And I said, that's fine. And when it's done, I'll leave an honest review. Or say, I don't have any money, but I'll leave an honest review. It's like 2 years later and leave a review. But anyways, it was just such a minor thing. Like, basically, they put like a rail across the bottom so that dogs couldn't push their way out. And just the way that was put on, it was causing the top to go over more. And so they just adjusted it, essentially. So that was a great blessing. But while this happened, chaos was happening in my life. The Lord decided I have not suffered enough. The Lord decided I have not suffered enough. And I needed to mop and clean up a horrible mess. A horrible, horrible mess. So I was maybe outside for like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, not very long. And I had my little dog with me. And keep in mind, my dogs had been out at 3:30. It's maybe now 8:30. This is 5 hours later. Now, maybe they didn't go to the bathroom then. I don't know. But then I come in, and I smell a bad smell right away. There is a huge pile of dog feces. This is larger than human-sized, and it's kind of like soft, and it smells horrible. It's like this much. It's like, it is like 2 adult-sized humans' wastes put together on my floor. It smells horrible. It's just like a big giant pile of mushy crap. And then on the other side of that is like just a big pile of dog piss. It is so much pee. It's like somebody took a gallon jug and they dumped it. It was so much pee. And it was like all over. So when you step through, like you can't really get over it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so happy that this fence was a problem. I had this fence installed 2 years ago, and I saw like a lot of things that happened, and I didn't necessarily expect, but I thought it would be a simple fix, honestly. So they did come over, and I did mention like just real quick as we're leaving about what happened in my house, and people broke my roof, and it destroyed my room. And it's like, and I'm like, sorry to stress you out, but I had all these people, and he was like, he was dealing with narcissists and scammers. He was worried that I was trying to get him, and then I told him people broke my roof and my plumbing, and like they destroyed my room, and so anyways, then I go in. I'm happy. This was quick. It's pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's like it's fixed like to the point where it's easy to use now, and it's pretty straight. Like, it's pretty straight. Like, unless, like, you're gonna dig it up and put concrete in, like, it's good enough. Okay, I was just really pleased. It was fast. It was easy. The guy was polite. The dogs didn't get loose. Everything went well. Then I go in the house, and immediately I'm hit. I'm hit with a horrible smell. There's a gigantic pile. Like, it's like this. It's like a huge pile of, like, really soft, yellowy dog poop. And then the other side of that is so much dog pee that it stretched for like 3 feet. It was 3 feet, probably 3 feet by 2 feet of dog pee on my floor. So I'm guessing that it was my St. Bernard, who could have waited 5 minutes. And then how long it took me to clean this up. And all the preparation that you have to do. But thank God that the food pantry actually gave me a roll of paper towels. When I went to the food pantry, they gave me a roll of toilet paper and they gave me a roll of paper towels because I needed those paper towels. And I just put a ton of them on it. I got my bag. I like had 3 bags like inside of each other, and to pick up, just to pick up the amount of poop, it like filled up a Kroger bag. It was that much poop, and the smell was horrible. And I had to go grab a mop like out of the yard, and it took me like a half hour to clean all this up. And of course it clogged my sink. And then when I finally got all this done, then I walk into this room, and my new hot water kettle that I really liked, that I just got to make my coffee. I got it like a month ago actually. My new hot water kettle that I was making my coffee with, and I was putting in my ramen noodles, which I just ate the last thing of ramen noodles yesterday. So maybe this is the Lord. This is the Lord. But my new water kettle, it was marked down to $17. It was marked down to $17. And I was using it every day. And I was making my coffee with it. Then I go and look, and I see glass on the floor. And while I went outside, my St. Bernard went up, and he was probably barking, and he knocked it off and broke it. So he pooped and peed all over the place, and he broke my new water kettle. There's supposed to be a warranty, but how is that warranted if my dog knocks it off and breaks it? I don't know. I guess I have to try. But anyways, I had prayed to God. I had prayed to God about food. I had prayed to God about my coffee almost being gone. So I think this is a solution. If God, I did pray like a few days back. Like, I've been having this instant coffee, but this is a new season. If you have another way or a better way for me to have coffee and not have cheap Walmart coffee, which I do like, but like make a way. And then so I just have a little bit left anyways. I just finished my ramen noodles, so really that's what I used the kettle for, was ramen noodles and instant coffee. And then I prayed for God, like, make a way, and then my coffee is going to run out, and so I don't know how God's going to get me coffee. And I was going to buy more ramen noodles, but now the way I made it is gone. So maybe God's saying, like, ramen noodles aren't good enough for you. Ramen noodles aren't good. I like ramen. I like them now. But I think there's chemicals in them. But I found another brand that's not as bad. So this isn't good. I'm like, this could be another mission to see if Chef Man will honor their warranty. Because I did register this. I did register it. Now, I didn't break it, but my dog broke it. So, I mean, is this under warranty? I don't know. I don't know. What's the point? It's either God took it away because I'm being upgraded from instant Walmart coffee and ramen noodles, or it's another mission to see if Chef Man will, help me out. I mean, because really, it's not their fault that it got broken. And I don't even know if this is covered under the warranty. But, God uses me to judge people and groups, organizations. So maybe that's what this is. Let's say, last night the man gave me $20 to get food. That kettle was $17 plus tax. So then that would have been like, and by the time I left some change, at this meeting and they passed the thing around and put some change in it, I got $1 extra. So it's like, if I go and buy another kettle, then I made $1. But that's not the way I'm looking at it. It's probably another mission that I have to deal with customer service again. And then if they actually honor it and give me another kettle, then God will bless Chef Man. God will bless Chef Man, not Bike Man, Chef Man. But it's just another, like, I had a way to make coffee, and I like the noodles, and now that's been taken away. I really wanted the chicken, and like I can't even go and buy fast food without somebody messing with it, without somebody messing with me. But anyways, it was good that I met some people at this one group I had never been to before, and they legitimately looked like they wanted to help, and they were offering advice, so that was good. They did have a couple of breakfast bars, and they had a couple of waters, so I don't know what God has in plan for me. Worrying is a lack of faith. And actually, at this meeting, somebody said, worrying is a lack of faith. And I wrote it down. I took my journal out and wrote, you're supposed to stay confidential. This is not somebody's testimony. It's just like a phrase. So anyways, we receive guidance when we ask for God's will for us. Lord, what is your will for me? Somebody expressed that they were unhappy about Trump's ballroom. Which now I just saw a headline, like other members of Congress are going to pass a bill to make sure the ballroom gets built. And they need a $400 million ballroom paid for by private donations because it's got to be bomb and drone proof. And now the devils, witches, and warlocks are keeping me out of all the dances. So then a thought, it does have to go in my head. If I am called Cinderella, they invent dances just so they deny me. They make up dance parties just so I can't go. And now people are upset that the Trump administration is building a ballroom. Well, maybe it's for me. Maybe it's for me. Maybe my life is being upgraded. Just, I had to spend, I didn't ask for this. I didn't need this. I'm assuming because it's like, God doesn't just waste our time and do things for no reason. Like, when I hear things, it's like people are teaching me. So now, somebody said in the meeting, we receive guidance when we ask for God's will for us. God, please show me your will for my life. Or say please, just say it. Could the Trump ballroom be really for me? Really for me? I mean, I've had 40, I didn't even know how old I was. I went to some group thing, or I went to some event, and then, I don't know how old I am. I'm like, this old or this old? I don't even know. And all this stuff's broke. And it's like, this is more than 40 years of just every little annoying thing and stuff that sucks. So, like, maybe that ballroom is for me, because, like, I deserve something. No, I'm not a dancer. That's not what I'm saying. But, if 100 people already tried to kill me, then yeah, maybe the ballroom is for me, and it needs to cost so much so that it's drone and missile proof if I'm going to be there. Because for some reason, every Christian church and every witch and warlock wants to take me out. But anyways, I'm wondering, do you guys ever experience this stuff? I don't know. Okay, now, I need to make a separate video too. I'm noticing, like, in the churches in the last few years, they're having more female leaders. They're making changes. Like, it's too little too late. They did not want to do this until they absolutely had to. So, like, the Mormon church, what they first tell you is truth. And then they try to hide, like, they know stuff that's wrong. And then out of deceit, they try to hide it. So, like, they did not invite me to go to the church until they started covering the Old Testament. Like, we just finished the New Testament, and it's like suspicious, because that's where all the lies are. But anyways, they do have a belief that Jesus was the God of the Old Testament, which is not the case. Jesus is a creation of God. But anyways, this is not a hill to die on, honestly, because they tell their people that they have to follow the law. And that was good. But I didn't know that the law is not the law of Moses. It's not the law of Moses. It's not the Mosaic law. They actually don't follow all of the Mosaic law. They actually don't follow a lot of the Mosaic law. Even though they say to follow the law, they follow the law that it's not even Joseph Smith's law. It's like 20 years later, a different prophet says everything in this canon is now prophecy. And Joseph Smith didn't say. So basically, they don't tell men to be the providers for their household. They basically act as like it's fine for women to be the breadwinners, but yet the women are not allowed to be priests. They're not allowed to hold titles, so they're the slaves. And so they tell them they're not allowed to drink tea and coffee and hot drinks. They tell them to limit their meat consumptions and not use many spices. But yet they let their people eat pork. And when I showed up for the Easter meal, they were celebrating the pagan holidays, and the only meat there was ham. Now, they did have deviled eggs, but the only, like, non-egg was ham. There was 3 different containers of ham. And so the food was good. But then so Mormonism became popular in like the 1830s, I think. This is right when it was really popular at the time. There were reasons why. So science at the time, it was like, now they say, oh, this Kellogg's cereal is good for you or whatever. Okay, where did that start? Right when Mormonism started. So they were wanting people to eat very bland food, like grains. It would keep their lusts and desires down. Not too many spices, no coffee, no tea. But then they feed them pork, and I could see the ham spirits dripping off of them as they ate it. But anyway, so I thought this is way better than the other church, because they tell them they have to follow the law, and they're not trying to kill me. Now, they did make me sick, not everyone. Some people there are allies. Now, they did cast some spells to try to make me sick, and they cast some spells. They brought in a male love interest, which I did not take the bait. Then they brought in some female Mormon missionaries. They thought, well, she didn't take this one. She must be a lesbian. So they brought in some young women. I'm like, no, I'm not a lesbian, but it doesn't matter. I'm not going to accept any counterfeit. So they did not try to kill me. So I thought, this church, it's tied with some of the best. Because there's another one that's also pretty good. But then they just allow witches and warlocks to run everything. So anyways, so what I'm saying is the Mormon church, if you first walk in, they have a lot of truth. And they're doing a lot of things better. But I could see the first day they were hiding things that they knew they were willingly propagating lies. Because they have made up all these rituals at temple. And how they are doing rituals and things to save the dead that were already judged. That is not the way God works. That's almost like a blood sacrifice. If you spend your time trying to save people that were already judged, it's almost like a devil came and told you to do that because they're in hell. But anyways, but they still have really good people in there. I would say I saw good people there. They were kind and they were considerate. But they just didn't have the right guidance. Like, they have to give, I think 10% of their money goes right to the church. But the church is using it to build more temples. And the temples are paganism. The temples are a cult. They are not of God. So the money should be used to pay for widows, orphans, divorced women like me. And so I actually saw me, and one of the missionaries was like, oh, we'll ask our church and see if any of them can help you. And like, oh, they can't help. Like, they wanted to help me. These young missionaries were good men, and they wanted to help. And they went to their leadership. Their leadership could do nothing to help me. And then they take 10% of the paycheck for all of their members, and they use it to build temples, which are not of God. Those temples are of the occult. They are satanic. And where they only allow men to lead, and they have to work their way up the hierarchy. It's like everybody, once they put their dues in, then they're next in line. And they don't want to lose their place in line. They work 20 years to get where they are, and they can be excommunicated and thrown away if they rock the boat. But you know very well, as well as I, that's a lie, and that's why you hid it from me. But anyways, now, they made some changes for women. I guess right before I went to the Mormon church, a couple months before, they made new underwear. So new underwear so you can wear tank tops and stuff. Uh, so I guess God cares what shape and size your underwear is. No, I don't think so. This isn't. And actually, when I met with one of the missionaries, and I was telling him about, like, oh, these man-made laws, I said Jesus came um, to free us from the law. And they actually tried to say that to me. So they said that to me, like, we don't have to follow the law because they kind of say you do. But then they said, well, because I was talking to him about pork. So I had them, like, they wanted to go in McDonald's. I'm like, hey, let's go down here. So I biked a couple blocks down to this outdoor area with benches. And I was talking to him about pork. And I said, the Lord doesn't allow us to eat pork. And this is something I have to tell. God has me tell people. And then they were trying to, and they didn't like disagree with me. But their position, the position of the church, is they are allowed to eat pork. And they're like, and then so they go and they look up and went to a verse that said Jesus fulfilled the law. And I said, I just looked this up. And I wrote it down. And it says, what does it mean to fulfill the law? In the Bible, to correctly interpret, perfectly obey, and fully accomplish the intended purpose of Mosaic law. Torah, rather than abolish it, implies embodying the law's true spirit, love for God and neighbor, bringing its complete intended fulfillment. Jesus was the only sinless alive, keeping the law perfectly. So when it said Jesus fulfilled the law, Google's AI said that means that's because he followed the Mosaic law. And actually, I also told him, like, does that mean we're allowed to murder now? And commit adultery? And like, well, no. I said, yeah. And then I pointed and I said, read me this verse. And they pulled up these verses I said in the Bible where it says pork is forbidden. Don't eat pork. And I said, where in the Bible does it say no? And then they said, we're talking about your baptism. And one thing is not to drink coffee and tea. And I'm like, actually, I'm going to ask God about this because God talks to me. And if we're not allowed to have coffee and tea, then I don't want to do that anymore. But basically, so I'm going to ask, because they told me to prepare for a baptism. They wanted to baptize me to stop drinking coffee and tea. And so, and I said, well, I'm going to ask God about that. Because I said, where in the Bible does it say not to drink coffee and tea? And I just showed him like 5 verses in the Bible where it says not to eat pork. And they still eat pork. And then they couldn't show me one where it says not to drink coffee and tea. So anyways, I did get baptized after that. Somewhere else. God walked me into a different church, which is actually run by an evil spirit. But it was still used for good. And they still taught mostly truth. It's crazy the way things happen. But anyways, so the Mormons, they have good people in there. They have believers in there. But charity is for the widows, the orphans, those in need, those in debt. And so when I showed up in my situation as a woman who had to leave, has no friends and family, had to leave a situation, people are trying to kill me, they destroyed my house, I can't afford food. And then they wanted to help me. Their church would not help me. But they take 10% of everybody's money and they use it to build new temples where they make up their own human rituals. But anyways, so right before I went, they came up with new underwear. I'm a prophet of the Lord, okay, guys? And you know what my underwear is? I get free underwear. I got free underwear from the soup kitchen. Now, it's not the right size, and it's not Mormon underwear, but it's clean. It's not pre-washed either, because I can't get my clothes clean. But my underwear is whatever I can get for free, and I think that God is okay with that. And it's much better. It's clean. And some people can't afford these. So anyways, now another thing is they have started having female missionaries. Now, I don't know how long they've been doing this, but they brought in 2 female missionaries to try to hit on me because I did not go out with the male suitor. They brought in a guy. He was fairly attractive. He seemed like a nice man. And there was nothing wrong with this man that I could see. He seemed like a good guy. But I said, I'm not available. So when that didn't work and they tried to send him a few times, then they sent the women. Well, you know what that accomplished is now you have female missionaries. Good job. Good job. Anyways, this is something else new they just started. Now women can witness baptisms. Apparently, women in the Mormon church did not witness baptisms until recently. They made all these they made these changes right before I went, and they invited me to a baptism. So basically, they came and invited me. They came to the gym. They rolled up on bikes. So two like 7 foot tall guys, young guys. This is so wild. Like I'm leaving the gym. I'm like 5 foot, and then as I'm leaving, then the bike rack, two 7 foot tall young men pull in at the same time, and they invited me to go. They invited me to go, and right before they invited me, they made changes so women can witness baptisms, that we can wear better underwear, and we can be missionaries. Now women can be Sunday school leaders. Now they didn't change this until like last month. So women can now be Sunday school leaders. And they also just had an archbishop, I think, of Canterbury that is a woman. Now, they are all rushing in to make these last minute changes, which really are of little significance. They are of little significance because the Mormon church ties, they basically tie a woman's salvation in with her husband. So if he's down here spiritually, she's anchored to him. This is not of God, because they do teach about eternal, like you get married forever, and that you are spiritually like aligned. And I told him, I said, and I just told him, I was like, yeah, but you're a lot of times we're not with our person. I said I was married to the devil. I'm not going to hell because he did. And I tell him that, like, anyways, and it makes sense because there are people in that Mormon church and they have questions and they don't understand. The explanation does not make sense to them. So then I said, oh, that's not how it works. A lot of times God has us with different people. Like we can learn, we can grow and stuff. It's a lot of times we're not with the right person, and so they just like, and I just tell them, I'm not gonna go die. I'm gonna tell them the truth, and the difference is when I say it, it's gonna make sense. And when they say it's not, they're going to hide it and keep it secret until you're too far in, you spent too much time, and you spent too much money. Like, their missionaries get up at 7 a.m. and they study for like 5 hours a day, learning all these rules and rituals, and it is all of man. It is all of man. But actually, I'm not trying to bash this church because they did not try to murder me. They did not try to murder me, and there were good people there. There were people that were polite. There were people that were open-minded. There were people that were considerate there. Not everyone, but I did not see witches and warlocks openly walking about. Now, they did have magic being used. There were spells being used. But it wasn't the level of evil I've seen in a lot of churches. But I think that really gets into the temple stuff. It's like there's some deal made where devils and fallen angels are trying to get them to advocate for them on their behalf. But we can't. That's not how it works. Our God is a fair Lord. Our God is fair and just. And so, no matter what I say, I can't save someone from hell. Let's see. Sunday school. So, they have made these changes too little and too late. Too little and too late. And I will say, word is getting around because it's been confirmed to me many times that I'm a prophet of God. And so, and I clear out, I told this, and they know. That's why they invited me. But then when they see that I am a female, then all these churches are rushing to make these last minute changes. And I'm not trying to bash this church, because these are better. These are better than, like, the Baptist church was the worst. I went to 2 Baptist churches. One of them tried to get me killed. And the other one had the police escort me out of the premises, and they do lie. They're ran by evil spirits. I know how it all works. So those were much worse. But they see that I'm a woman, and now they're rushing to make last minute changes. Well, because it's going to discredit their entire organizations when they don't allow women to be in the priesthood, and that's exactly why God is calling women to be leaders. If you look at the book of Esther, God called Esther in a pagan society full of harems and sexism and the king running everything and could have someone killed by speaking a word. God raised her up from nothing to co-rule, and told her to speak to speak to the king as and tell him what to do. And then I'm sure that God inspired his heart, and he offered half of the kingdom to her. And then as a Jew, the rules of a believer, the way the people of the world would be treated, think of a believer versus a disbeliever. What the pagans did, blood sacrifice. They had slaves, and they did blood sacrifice in killing of babies, castration, all types of disgusting things that the devil worshippers did. And to have a Jew, which is, that word is, it's not accurate anymore, because Jews today aren't what Jews were back then. To have a believer that followed God's law, which is none of that weird satanic ritual stuff, that just did like the 10 Commandments. And then God placed her in a position of power and authority and told her to talk to the king, and placed her as an equal. And surely she inspired this pagan king, and they probably made all these rules that were fair and just and improved people's lives. So anyways, but yeah, it's too little too late. It's too little too late, guys. Now if you do the reforms, then they have, the churches have an ability to do a lot of good. They really do. They have the ability to do a lot of good, and some of them are doing good. I'm not saying none of them are doing good, but I haven't found one that teaches the whole, full, and complete truth. I haven't found one that's doing everything right. And I guess as long as we have humans that can sell out, that's always going to be the case. But just what has been done in God's name, it's wrong. And I think like there's a lot of churches to go to, but after that, there's mosques and there's synagogues to go to. There's mosques and there's synagogues too. As just like the story of Esther, just because they have a hierarchy, oh, you have to have this degree or this many years, or you have to have this title. No, God, what's that called? God qualifies the called, doesn't call the qualified. So God takes the humble and lowly and trains them up and sends them into power. These world systems of power. So even if they have rules like you don't approach or you don't say this, no, you just go on in behalf of the Lord and speak the truth. But you can't say, you can't work for the Lord if you have any arrogance or any hatred. It can only be truth. It's like it takes a lot of pruning to get to the point where it's only God's truth. It's not your own emotion. It's not your own emotion. It's not your personal life. It's only the truth of God, and you don't put yourself below anyone else. Every person is spiritually equal. It doesn't matter what your title is. You walk in and you just talk to people as though they are your peers, and you just tell them the truth, but you have to say it in a polite and respectable way. So it takes a lot of training to learn the right way to handle things. I guess it's called tact. It takes a lot of training. Anyways, this is quite a long video. I guess I gotta try to see if they will honor the warranty on the kettle that my dog broke, which might not be covered under warranty. I don't know. I guess there's a church breakfast at 8 a.m. and I stopped going there for a while because they tried to have me killed there. And I don't like donuts, and they normally have pork. But maybe I'll go and get some coffee. And every time I go, like, people are rude there and cuss at me. So I don't know. Maybe I'll show up. We'll see. Maybe I won't. If I get up at like 7 o'clock for some reason, maybe I'll go. Oh, there's a church service this evening. I don't know if I want to go to that. Maybe I'll just stay home. Yeah, there's a church at 7 on Saturday. This is a church town. They have church service Saturday at 7 to 9. And it always runs late. And then, and of course, there's the breakfast at 8 a.m. and you want to show up early to get the free stuff. It's like, this is a full-time job to go to these. I actually have taken a break from churches for a while until I get guidance from the Lord on where to go. I don't know. I was pretty mad with my dog, but I still love him. I said, I'm not going to rub your back today to my one dog because he broke my kettle and he pooped and peed on my floor. I know he did. He's not getting any back rubs unless I forget. This is not a lie. Because I might forget and accidentally pet him. I don't plan on it. So I'm going to try not to. There he is. Okay, thanks for watching.